Last time, we dove headfirst into the depths and explored just what these structures, statues and magical mines mean. There was only one true, viable explanation for the wholeness of most of these structures and the fact that there's wildlife down here that isn't impacted by the gloom. And these ghostly apparitions.
The depths was a former world, a world that has now fallen into darkness by the changes in the land.
And that is that the depths were a former civilization, going back in time to before Raru's era. If you need proof, head on over to the last video now, then come back here and get your thinking caps on because there is still more explaining to do when it comes to the depths. I managed to cover the what, but the why, the how, the when and the who still remain. And by the end of this video, I aim to have at least covered how the civilization got buried, who did so and why. When is a little hard to quantify because this area could be tens of thousands of years old or 100,000 years old. But the others we can pin down in a pretty creative and fun way. So let's equip our miner set and parachute back down the rabbit hole, because it's time for the second time to dive deep into the depths.
Hey, listen!
In case you haven't seen, I have two current open theories on this channel. The first is the mysteries of the depths, but there's a lot more to another theory that I just needed to go back and solve. And I actually think we may be able to kill two geese with one arrow in this video. The other video or theory in question is my Is Raru a Liar video. Without wanting you to disappear too much from this video, you're going to want to watch that one in order to keep up with this video. In that video, I took a look at 3 little dragons that roam the sky and I accused a dragon goat human hybrid of being a barefaced liar. Now listen, I stand by that video in terms of Raru knowing a lot more about draconification than he lets on, but I am not here to talk about that today. Oh no. I'm here to ask you lovely people to subscribe to the channel because we are so close to the 1,000 mark. And while you're subscribing, get involved in the community by commenting and liking the video. You guys are all awesome. Seriously though, what was I actually going to talk about? The unstable climate? The rising prices of pasta? No, I'm pretty sure that's not it. Let me just check my notes. Oh, what? Wait, what I'm here to talk about is these 3 dragons. Dimral, Farosh and Nadra. There are 3 primary connections with the upper world, as it were. These 3 connections are as follows. The Yiga, who we know likely fell down to the depths after Koga's defeat in Breath of the Wild. The monsters of the land, which are likely actually born of the gloom, as everything down here is gloom based and there's no sign of any normal enemies that have not been infected by it, other than one type of monster that actually lives in the depths, the frogs. The Yiga, while making the best of a bad situation of being stuck down in the depths with Koga, are nothing to do with the forming of the upper world, as they're only around in this era. They are former members of the Sheikah tribe who have turned their back on the gods, and therefore have dedicated their lives to Ganondorf. Nope, not them. The monsters, well, I just covered that one. They have nothing to do with terraforming, as they have one of 2 reasons for being down here. They have either fallen down into the chasms, but I think more monsters would be dead than not for that to be the case. I mean, at least the Yiga can build contraptions to fly up and down. So these would seem similar to Gloom Hands, to be born within the gloom itself. For just a second, how cool and terrifying would that have been as a game mechanic? Monsters suddenly rise up from the gloom and form in front of you? I can see why Nintendo maybe didn't go down that route. Not very teen rated, right? Then there's the third, the dragons, named aptly after the creators of the world, Din, Nehru and Farosh. See, it's no secret that Tears of the Kingdom semi-mirrors the storyline of Ocarina of Time, just with a little more padding and fleshing out. The King of the Gerudo comes to the home of royalty, swears fealty and then goes on to betray the king with a heinous act. Although the King of Hyrule in Ocarina's death isn't actually shown, it's just heavily implied. From there, a young boy must venture out to stop the evil, collecting the Master Sword and the help of 7 sages along the way before heading towards the castle to stop the evil in its tracks. In a nutshell, this is the basis for both games, though Tears of the Kingdom fleshes it out more and adds more of a convoluted twist to the storyline. This is all important because if we are saying that these 2 games are showing the cyclical nature of Hyrule, then the creation of the world, which is a big topic in Ocarina of Time, needs to be explored for Tears of the Kingdom. As it stands, we have 3 dragons. All of these have elemental powers and all named after the gods of old. Most importantly, all of them are the only creatures other than Link in the game to travel between the sky, the depths and the surface. It's also heavily inferred as we look at the video that I did on this topic that 3 members of the Zonai race, likely with powers of some form of ice, fire and wind, possibly the original sages of the Zonai tribe, swallowed their secret stones and became massive sky snakes. But the rationale when I made that video was off. Something didn't feel right. And all of you guys picked up on it. See, I still believe Rauru to be a liar, but now I don't think it's about the fact that he and Mineru tested on other Zonai, but perhaps that the other Zonai were in existence prior to Rauru's time. We know that this is an ancient race that descended from the heavens, and we know for sure that they knew how to turn themselves into dragons, even if it was outlawed and forbidden. We also see clearly that this area was inhabited by someone, and if certain areas are anything to go by, it would appear as if they lived in these lands underneath the surface. It would seem as if, looking at evidence that we have, a land underneath our current world that is for the most part fully intact, and the 3 dragons that represent our golden goddesses, that we can just come to some form of conclusion about what happened here. An undetermined amount of time ago, the Zonai descended from the skies to Hyrule. They were great magic wielders. They had access to the most incredible gifts and the most incredible stones, gifts from the gods themselves. These stones were the reason everyone believed them to be gods, although they were not. As we know though, a calamity is around every corner in Hyrule, especially with what lurks within the Gerudo Desert. See, every 100 years, a male is born and he becomes king by default, within a country of female thieves and vagabonds. As he is born, and some years later, so is the ancient hero. Finally it happens. Ganondorf grows of an age where the hunger for power, the insatiable need for control take over, and the Gerudo, along with the Molduga, all invade Hyrule. Unfortunately, this cycle ends differently for this Hyrule. Usually the hero and princess overcome, but in this time we have no incarnation of Zelda, or at least a recognised incarnation, despite the fact that the Miser's Curse suggests that all 3 must forever be present. Paraphrased there, of course. Our ancient hero is defeated and panic sets in. The Elder Sages enact a protocol hidden within their peoples, protocol to be only used in times of emergency, the direst of times. They take the pill, they swallow their stones, 3 of them. One with the power of fire, one with the power of ice, and one with the power of the skies. All 3 become a new creature entirely, morphing from their adorable appearance to a fearsome dragon, keeping key identifiers about them as they do: hairstyles and colours, facial hair, their snouts, and their ears. The Dragon of Fire, Dinral, scorches the current earth, while the last remaining Zonai are transported back to the skies via the power of Furore, rending parts of the world into the air. Hence why the legend states that the Zonai just disappeared. From there, the dragons formed anew. The protocol was to build a new world, one where the gloom could not take over, as it already was, due to the dark magic that has spread because of Ganondorf. This world would sit atop of the old one. The Sky Islands would be the only remnants of what was once left in the world. And with that, that's it. The depths have been uncovered. We know all about the Sky Islands, and we know that the Zonai once lived down here in the depths, before rising to the sky forever. Good to know. As usual, I've been Haylison Gaming, and I'll see you next time. But before I sign off, I'd just like to thank you for the incredible comments and theory additions that you spent a lot of time to type out. I really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed what you've seen today, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a like and get involved in the comments below. I'll see you next time. Bye!